All these other tools, all of our educational areas are struggling with AI because they're grading what AI can do well. They're not grading what people do well. I don't want AI to change your opinion. I want you to change AI's opinion. Hello, everyone. Sorry I wasn't able to make it in there today. I'm currently in an intensive in the same building you're listening to this called Applied Co-Creation, but I took the time to record this video for all of you there, so I hope you appreciate it. My name is Jake Van Cleef. I was in the US Marine Corps for about 8 years. I was working in avionics, cryptography, all sorts of algorithms and weird things like that. Decided the military wasn't my vibe, so I wandered out and started doing war journalism in the Middle East. I was in the West Bank, Gaza, areas like that. Just wanted to listen and hear what people had to say, and in that process, I realized I could use AI in different ways to help amplify their voices. This process led into all sorts of use of artificial intelligence, looking at the bias, the issues, academics, and the surrounding of that, and that led me to the Futures Institute, where you see me today, working on all sorts of things. Currently, I'm studying with the Future Governance program here, but I'm also working with the Neuropolitics Lab and the Human Decision-Making Lab around algorithms, AI, and bias. I also have a startup called Aduba, comes from the old Mesopotamian word for the first writing schools, focused on educational technology or the interaction with technology from an educational setting. One of the things that I do with my startup and just on my own in general is give workshops. I gave my first workshop to Flagler College back in the States. They brought me on board because I was working with professors on artificial intelligence, how to incorporate it or not incorporate it into the learning environment and technologies. I wanted to share with you a slide from one of my workshops that I think really explains the issue and area we are right now with AI in education and the perils of edtech in general. These two quotes are actually quotes directly taken from newspaper clippings and ads that were done at the time about an educational technology they were trying to sell. The inventor or introducer of this device deserves to be ranked among the best contributors to learning. The teacher knows almost as little how to use it as his pupils. Now, I know you're probably sitting there taking guesses. Yeah, we could apply it to AI or we could not. It's the chalkboard. It's the simple chalkboard. And to me, I think that's absolutely wild that that's what was said about it. Yet all of us have used a chalkboard, and while we may not use the traditional chalkboard anymore, we have digital versions of it. We have Miro boards, and some of us may still use the chalkboard. So was it the technology that was the solution, or was it our use of it? And this is an important concept I want all of us to understand. These tools that are being pushed, a lot of ed tech solutions are focused on a product, focused on a market share, focused on making something faster. And I don't know if any of you are familiar with this concept, but there's this joke that a man comes along and says, "Hey, I have this pill, it can make you think faster." And the person goes, "Wow, so I'm smarter, but like in a quicker way?" "No, you're stupid, faster." This is where a lot of these AI companies and ed tech companies and people are trying to push, right? They're trying to make optimized solutions and solve problems with AI tutors in a way that just makes things that shouldn't be optimized. They're charging obscene prices for essentially very low results. And this is what's leading to a funding crunch. We're all aware of the recent funding cut here. On top of that, these tools themselves, whether it's the base level artificial intelligence tools or ed tech solutions, they're actually not meeting the assessment goals of teachers, or if they are, it's only a single part of it. And again, they're not designed for these modern classroom environments. On top of all of that, because of those first two things, we're starting to see a huge waning trust. And I mean, my mother, she's a teacher back in Florida right now. She works with a company called Florida Virtual School, and they started out because traditional solutions were not working for the everyday student. Now, I just said a key word there, traditional education solutions. Is it that those tools aren't accomplishing traditional education solutions, or we've been changing what that means? And I realized after talking to my mother and starting doing surveys and hundreds of workshops over the last year, education used to be different just a decade ago, even 2 decades ago. A lot of it was focused on the process of writing a paper, the process of creating something. In the States where I'm from, there's a huge focus on standardized testing and metrics, and I've heard that's the same thing here. So all of the solutions, the grading, the ed tech has been focused around this goal of grading the end product rather than the process. And that made me realize something. After talking with everyone, that's the same issue with AI. The reason we're not wanting to use it or accept it isn't that it's not a useful tool, it's that we're using the tool for the wrong process. We're using it to create something, or students are using it just to output something. But that was never a goal of education before AI. But for some reason, these tools focus on it. How much more can you grade? How much more can you get out there? How much more can you put in your assessments? Rather than, what is the process of that assessment? Now, this isn't some amazing conclusion that I came to on my own or was the only one who saw it. There's hundreds and thousands of teachers all around the world who have been complaining about this for years or are currently focusing on it. The reason I even came to this conclusion and started focusing on it more is I'm currently a member of the Association for Learning Technology here in Scotland. And one of the members shared an amazing PowerPoint, which I'm going to actually share with all of you. It's a very large PowerPoint that has a whole bunch of ways in which teachers from various levels have been assessing students with the understanding that they may or may not be using AI or are going to be using a tool that acts in a way that AI does, i.e. copying stuff from the internet or copying things from a source that you don't trust. They created assessments or have been practicing assessments that work in that way. One of them is actually an option from my mother. What she does is a top-down approach, the process. She walks the students through working and creating an essay and make the AI make an essay. But what they're being graded on is not the essay, it's their ability to critique the essay that was outputted. It is understanding what is wrong or not quite along and aligned with what that student would have created themselves. And even further, she assesses the prompts given to a system. And this isn't something brand new. This isn't just something you can do with AI. Think about the current process of actually helping someone write a paper. You go through, you create a paper, however that is, you submit it, and it's graded. You get feedback. It's saying, according to this rubric, you did these things well. And the learning comes from understanding what you didn't do well. That this is what you didn't know because you do not know what you do not know. Why are we not using tools, creating edtech solutions around that? Specifically, you have AI tutors, faster graders, all these different things, which can be great in their own right, but it doesn't help with the issues that education has always been facing. It is not the solution, it is a tool to find the solutions. And in our head, we came up with a simple way that we think this could be used. Now, there's a lot of solutions we came up with. We have our workshops to help upskill people. We have various governance frameworks where you can vote on the data that's going on and actually delete any of the data being used. We have a set of tools that we created to explore this area of artificial intelligence structured dialogue. And I'd love to show them for you really quick. We've created a couple tools that we think help, at least with this exploration. They're not products. I'm not selling anything to you. You can log in right now. They're completely free to use because I need your help. You're the experts. You're the ones that really understand how to assess this. And these tech companies that keep telling you, you don't know, you have to ride the wave, they're wrong. You do know, and you can drive the future. And I want to create the tools that help you drive that future. Let me just dive in quickly to one of our tools called Scribe. It's formatted in a similar way that many of the other AI companies format their tools. It's got your discussions on the left, it's got the chat box in the center, and it has somewhere to create a document on the right. The difference is I wanted to give educators a choice in what type of tools they use. Perhaps you think OpenAI is unethical. Perhaps you want an LLM that uses better energy production. Perhaps you just like the output of one of them, or even further, what if you don't want to make that choice and you want us to help you with that? Well, that's where we have this drop-down menu to be able to do that. We created a discussion, but this discussion isn't just mine. It's not just an individual with an AI and no one can see it. This can be a group of people. The professor can start the conversation. In this case, I wanted to start a dialogue about writing a paper, but I wanted that dialogue to be the process. So I take them through. I say, your goal is to take the user through a process of building a paper on a topic. Follow proper templates and listen to how they guide you to write the paper. This is something the teacher would be inputting. In fact, I want this to be automated, a drop-down menu. But for right now, we're giving freedom to understand what those prompts, what that direction, what that template, what your rubric would best be for that structured dialogue. And then you start the conversation. In this case, I'm using Claude Sonnet. Again, you can choose any sort of agent from any sort of company, which is a huge plus when you're in the research community. And we go through it. It asks you questions, it's diving in. What kind of paper should this be? The questions that you should be learning or understand on your own as a creator. But the difference is it's still giving you the potential of the AI, which is the powerful part, the ability to create. We walk through this, I give it some explanations here or there. The goal would be every time I give it a prompt, it's a little bit more of my information, me, my individual style, and perhaps a lot of my writing. And as it does it, it's creating more and more. Now, the idea would be that this conversation would continue for maybe 10, 15 times. You wouldn't be grading the paper that the AI creates. You would be grading or assessing the way in which the student spoke to the AI, the way in which the student spoke to another person. You're assessing their prompt, their style of critical thought. You can't cheat what you don't know if you're asking how you know it. That's the beautiful part of this. All these other tools, all of our educational areas are struggling with AI because they're grading what AI can do well. They're not grading what people do well. The human assessment, the process of assessment. I don't want AI to change your opinion. I want you to change AI's opinion. There's a lot more we could dive into. I think I'm running out of time here. There's the governance process that we're doing. We have more software beyond this that we've already created. So if any of you have any questions, I'm right here in the Futures Institute. All of you can reach out. I'll make sure you have the emails and any questions sent to me. But let's work on creating a future because people dumber than you are shaping the future of AI.